Today's episode is on depression. I will first read Nkuli's note and then my own. Thoughts on depression by Nkululeko Tselane. To me, depression is not so distant a relative. He looks like me. He comes to visit on occasion. Sometimes he'll visit for a few hours, other times for a few weeks. I know he'll always visit. He likes me more when I'm drunk and the days that follow it. We'll sit for hours, just the two of us. We'll talk about everything. Or rather, he'll talk about everything, and I'll just listen. I block my ears, but I still hear him. He'll talk about that test I did badly in. He'll remind me about that awkward situation I had on the bus. He'll remind me about the brief conversation where someone made a rude comment. We'll even reminisce about the time my dad forgot me in the mall. How does it feel knowing they don't care about you? I know it's not true, but depression always knows which buttons to press. He comes and goes, and when he leaves, I'm filled with relief. He loves visiting when I'm alone. He loves visiting when things are bad, but won't hesitate to show up when things are good as well, just to make sure I don't forget family. He's a bad relative. He only started making his presence known when I was 13, but he does his best to make up for lost time. He ruins everything. I see him when I look in the mirror. He looks like me. I tried to kill him once, so I guess I tried to kill me once. I stopped. He was disappointed. I noticed that he likes me when I'm drunk, so I stopped drinking. I noticed that he likes me when I'm tired, so I sleep more to make sure I'm rested. He likes me when I eat junk food, so I eat fruits to keep him from coming. He likes me when I'm unfit, so I exercise to make myself strong. This delays his visits and makes them less frequent. He still visits though. He always visits. You can't forget about family. He arrives unannounced. You look well rested. Have you been gymming? I sigh and try to ignore him while I can. After a while, I decide to respond and hope his visits will be short this time. He distracts me when I try to study and get some work done. He whispers in my ear while I walk on campus. Sometimes he shouts. People try have conversations, but I wave and carry on walking. He's so rude, they say in the distance. I'll make it up to them next time. They don't know that there's a family function going on. I can't focus on a conversation with depression nagging me. Lately, he's tried bargaining his little brother anxiety. Anxiety is weak, so I normally kick him out, but me and depression have a special relationship. They say you can't choose your family, but you learn to love them. I'll never love him. But like an annoying relative, I know we'll be together forever. I learn to enjoy the times when he's not around. I've learned to stop ignoring him when he visits. Oh, you're back, I'll ask. For how long this time? We'll see. It depends on how much sleep you get, he responds. I've learned that when I talk to him, I can figure out how to get him to leave quicker. He doesn't like when we speak. It means I'm figuring him out. Depression is not so distant a relative. As I write this, he's sitting next to me, but something feels different. Yesterday he was shouting. A few days ago he stopped me from going to gym. Today he feels like he's tired. He feels weaker. I suspect this means he'll be leaving soon, but I know he'll be back. He always comes back. What kind of relative stops visiting? I've learned how to take comfort in his presence. After all, he is just another part of me. Okay. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, please comment, like, and subscribe. I'll give you 5 seconds to do that. Okay, so now that you've subscribed, once again, we are welcoming back Nkuli. Nkuli, introduce yourself.
My name is Nkuli. Hi. I founder and CEO of Kuyasha Media. Father of Naledi, boyfriend to Nina. All around cool guy, I'd like to believe.
I agree. I'm fully in agreement. So today we're going to be speaking about depression and mental health. It's going to take more of a conversation format more than an interview format in this one. So the South African Depression and Anxiety Group defines depression as when the downtimes are long-lasting or interfere with an individual's ability to function. And according to them, 20% of our population suffers from depression and 2/3 go untreated. But depression is obviously not the only form of mental health issue, but because it's become, very prominent in our country, our discussion will focus mostly around that, but we will touch on certain issues about mental health. So the first thing I want to ask you is that it said that depression affects women twice as more than it does in men. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. First of all, before we get into this conversation, I just
Yeah.
want to put it out there. Like me, generally, I had decided that I'm no longer talking about depression.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so this is the last time.
Okay.
So if you've got any questions, so you guys should know that's how important Tando is, right? But yeah.
Okay, what made you decide that before we get into the question? What made you decide that you're no longer speaking about that?
It stopped helping me. Because at first I used to speak about depression a lot because it was my form of therapy.
Okay.
And it helped me, I think, cope with it.
Okay.
But then after a while, it just started feeling like it was just adding to my general anxiety.
Okay.
You know. So then I said, no, I'm not talking about this thing anymore.
Okay.
I'm just going to deal with it however I deal with it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the question. Why
question.
do you think it affects women twice as more? Or what are your thoughts around that?
I don't think it does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, if you look at the stats, men commit more suicide than women, right? But I think it's because there's a lot more sympathy towards women. So women can say, I'm feeling depressed, and they'll be like, Chomi, I got you.
Yeah.
Do you want ice cream? You know? Whereas a man will say he's depressed, and either it's the response to that is either, well, get over it.
Yeah.
Or the response is it's just ignored.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I think maybe you could also speak about generally patriarchy and that men are not really allowed to be emotional beings or creatures, whereas women are. So women are given that sort of leeway to be depressed, where men were not necessarily allowed to be depressed.
That makes sense. And also, I just think women are a little bit more forthcoming, you know, so maybe the stats would also be based on the fact that a woman is more likely to come out and say, I am depressed, than a man would.
Yeah.
Okay, so take me through your journey of depression. Where it began, all of that.
Okay. So I mean, obviously, the first time I didn't realize I was depressed. So, okay, so I've struggled with like suicidal thoughts and stuff since I was like about 12, 13.
Wow.
I know. So at the time, it was more of me just like feeling suicidal quite a bit when I was 13. I think that was just like soon after I became head boy in primary school. So it was grade 7. Because I remember there was this anonymous Facebook used to have these anonymous confessions things. So then I would go there and I would just like say, yo, I just want to kill myself.
Yeah.
Life is too much, blah blah blah. And then one of the responses to that was, it actually helped me, was, yo dude, toughen up, get over it. And actually for a long time that helped.
Yeah.
And then that's the method I used for myself in terms of whenever I was feeling suicidal, I'd be like, dude, but come on, things are not
Just
that
toughen
bad.
up,
Toughen up, get over it, you're good.
Yeah.
And for a long time that helped. So I was first like just suicidal when I was like 13, continued 13, 14, 15, 16. Like obviously it comes and goes. It's like in waves, right?
Yeah.
And then I also started doing research on it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why the hell am I always so sad?
Yeah.
You know, and there's nothing like particularly
that's making you sad.
You know.
Yeah.
So although sometimes they work, because there are triggers, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
So then I did my research also. So then I realized, okay, I'm probably just depressed. And then once I realized that, because it sucks being sad all the time.
Yeah.
So then once I realized that, I started like experimenting with meditation, exercise a bit more. So because I was a very chubby kid, so then I did a lot more sports, lots more exercising, and that helped a lot with the depression. The meditation helped a lot with the depression.
Yeah.
I think also what I was also like very like conscious of in all my research, they were also very clear, like don't self-diagnose.
Yeah.
You know, so I was also a bit like afraid to say that I am depressed, because I didn't want to self-diagnose myself as depressed. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but you know, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, long story short, I mean, it's always been there. You learn how to deal with it. You learn when you are depressed, when you're going through an episode. I've had more suicide attempts than I can count, because I hardly don't want to count them.
Yeah.
but I also think also partly on the suicide attempts is I don't think I really wanted to die. I like right now I think if I really wanted to die I would be dead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that is my journey in a nutshell. Currently I'm on medication.
Yeah.
Was going through to therapy for most of last year, but now I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you stop?
A couple of reasons. Firstly, it was getting expensive.
Yeah.
Secondly, I wasn't too sure if it was really helping, because so there's a psychologist and a psychiatrist, right?
Yeah.
And the psychiatrist is the one that prescribes you the pills,
Yeah.
whereas the psychologist is the one that talks to you,
Yeah.
you know, how you're feeling and gives you like coping mechanisms, right?
Sure.
I didn't feel like she was really giving me enough coping mechanisms.
Okay.
It felt like she was just listening to me, which is good for the venting part.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like, so it kind of was starting to feel like it wasn't worth it anymore. Yeah, but I think the price thing was an issue. I do think that if it wasn't getting expensive, probably, even though I wasn't feeling like she was giving me enough coping mechanisms, I probably would have continued.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was those two factors as to why I
that
stopped.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And like, take me through like what depression feels like or what it is. Because I think some people don't even know what it is. Like, what are the symptoms for you? What does it feel like? Obviously, the symptoms differ for like everyone, but there are general sort of symptoms that doctors will say, like, you know, if you have them, then you should come in and check up. But like, take me through what depression feels like for you.
Yeah, you're right. It's very subjective, very different.
Yeah.
So, also something that I learned last year when I was going to therapy is that depression and anxiety are very linked. So I used to think it was just depression that I was going through.
Yeah.
And I thought I was just a paranoid person, right? Because
Yeah.
I am very paranoid generally, I think, right?
Yeah.
But then my psychologist said, no, it's important not to mischaracterize things. So then I started doing reflection. I'm like, actually, this is not paranoia. It's actually anxiety that I'm going through.
Yeah.
Right? So depression, I think the way I've experienced it, I always like personify it. So I actually wrote something. I'll send it to you. I actually haven't sent it to anyone, but I wrote it about like what depression feels like to me.
Okay.
It's like there's someone always with you, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like have you seen like the chicken licking? The
Yes.
chicken licking ad where it's like it keeps on growing and
Yes.
that monkey thing
Yeah.
keeps on, so that's what it feels like. So you feel it there, it's sometimes there, and then you can just ignore it, it's whatever. Right?
Yeah.
But then it just keeps on growing, and then it hits you like a wave where you can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to do anything. You just
not interested.
even just social. Like I enjoy socializing with people.
Yeah.
But then just socializing is difficult.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's also where the anxiety is now coming into play. It's like everything is in fast forward.
Yeah.
Right? Everything, you're super alert to everything. So that anxiety, you're like, oh no, Tando noticed that little mistake I made. Tando hates me.
Yeah.
Everyone hates you.
Yeah.
You should hate yourself.
Yeah.
Kill yourself. So then that's kind of like how it kind of like progresses, and then I mean you learn how to, so at first when I started learning about depression, I thought like when I would do meditation and exercise, make sure I get enough sleep, all of those things, I thought that I would stop it, right? And this is before I started getting actual help, right?
Yeah.
But then what I noticed was that I won't stop it, but I can reduce the frequency, like how often it happens, how
Yeah.
often I go through a depressive episode.
Yeah.
And also decrease how long that particular episode lasts for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was I actually forgot what your actual question was, but yeah, that's how it. Yes, that's how it
That's
feels.
how it feels.
That's how it feels for me.
Yeah.
So then also the annoying thing happened when you think, like also it's also a mental game that you have to get used. It can always get worse, right? And the
Yeah.
worst thing about depression is that you'll be thinking, okay, I've reached my rock bottom, and then you feel yourself getting better. You're like, okay, I know my rock bottom. I'll be stronger when I get to that again, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get better.
It doesn't.
It doesn't, right? you learn every single time that rock bottom, there's something lower than that, and that in itself depresses you because you're like, I'm happy now, but for how long? How long is it gonna last this time before I'm depressed again?
Yeah.
So then eventually I learned to accept that, okay, look, dude, you're gonna have these episodes quite a bit.
Yeah.
Do the things that you do that you know will help reduce those episodes and the intensity of them.
Yeah.
Exercise definitely helps in terms of reducing the frequency and intensity of the particular depressive episodes, because sometimes it'll be like really, really bad.
Yeah.
But other times it'll be not too bad and then it'll go away.
Yeah.
And then you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are your coping mechanisms now?
What are my coping mechanisms now? Well, sleep is a very nice coping mechanism.
I feel like sleep is so dangerous. That's how I know I'm going back. Like if I'm sleeping like a little bit too much, then I'm like, oh.
Yeah, look, I mean, honestly, I think also the thing that helps me now is that I'm self-employed, and then also at the law firm I work, it's part-time, so I go when I want to go. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I can't sleep when I'm like really bloody depressed.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me just sleep. I'm not going anywhere. It helps also because I live with Nina.
Yeah.
So then I'll just talk to Nina.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, but a lot of the time she'll actually know before I know or before I tell her. Because sometimes I don't even realize I'm depressed.
Yeah.
Right. And then just realize, why am I it's actually been going on for a few days.
Yeah.
I'm actually going through an episode right now.
Yeah.
So then she'll notice sometimes, and then she'll be extra nice to me, or she'll suggest that we go out, or something like that. I don't exercise as much as I used to, which I should definitely get back to. I don't even meditate as much as I used to, but I think also just like I play PlayStation now as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I'll watch Netflix. Another thing I used to, and I still kind of do quite a bit, is I watch a lot of comedy and stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of comedy, right? And then stand-up comedy, obviously when you laugh, you're releasing those endorphins.
Yeah.
So I watch a lot of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I try to get out the house, because the thing about depression is that, like, it is bad to sleep all the time. Sometimes I am just fatigued and the depression is making it worse, right? But like sometimes you just have to leave the house, definitely, you know. Because I also coach, right? So then I coach the under 17s at Vets. So then what happens is that sometimes I'll jump into the session with them. So then I think it's fun and it's exercise at the same time. And then afterwards, like sometimes I'll feel depressed when I'm going to a training session, jump in the training session, I'm great, I go home, I'm happy, everything. It's like I wasn't even depressed an hour ago.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you think, like, being in that sort of workspace and corporate space, why do you think it like triggered you so much?
Hey dude, there are a number of things that triggered me about that.
Yeah.
And it's not okay. The first and foremost, the biggest issue, and you don't know this, we actually haven't had this conversation. You know, I didn't graduate with the rest of you. I didn't graduate.
Huh?
You didn't notice? Yes. So then.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you the story, right?
Okay.
And I haven't also told the story on camera before. Even on my podcast, I haven't told it, right?
Okay.
So what happened was that I had a sup, right? The previous year.
Okay.
Right. And then I was going through a depressive episode. I don't think it was necessarily related to that, right? Just generally. Whenever I was also going through like depressive episodes, what I do is I turn up with the homies.
Okay.
Friends, have fun, probably drink a bit too much.
Yeah.
and all of those things.
Really? This is directed at you.
No. Leave Willie alone. Leave Willie alone.
Okay.
Don't cover your mic.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I had a really dope December. Like not dope, but like it kind of took my mind off it for like a week. We went away. It was me and the homie. Willie wasn't there actually. So.
Okay.
And then.
Really? Yeah.
And then I had a sup in the January, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember trying to study for, like, I was having a bad episode. So I went away to Hatties, to my dad's house there, and then I would just like chill in the house, because I wanted to get away from Joburg and everything, because I thought it was getting too loud, because I couldn't think, I couldn't read, couldn't study, nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, but put in some work, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I remember the first day of work.
Oh.
First day of work was the day I wrote my sup. Nah.
Okay.
So I can even tell you the dates. The date was the 8th of January.
Yeah.
Right. That's the first day of work. We're starting with training and all of the wrote this up, blah blah blah. Cool. All of that. So then working 2 months, 3 months, getting paid. Things are nice. I was still having I still would have depressive episodes during that. So then what I think would happen there was that it was the frustration of the general work environment,
Yeah.
right? Because I think I'm a creative person, and then I don't like being in an environment where I'm not given the ability to be creative,
Yeah.
and then also not given the ability to, I felt like they weren't using me to my strengths.
Yes.
You know, that was something that frustrated me, and just the general mundaneness of it was
Yeah.
it was just suffocating at times. But the nice thing about money,
Yeah.
right? The beautiful thing about money,
Oh, yes.
is that you can do things to distract yourself.
Of course.
So I mean, even I remember there was just randomly a Wednesday night, because you know how corporate is. Probably might finish work if you're lucky 7, 8, right?
Yeah.
I remember
That's a good day.
that's a good day, right?
Yeah, it's a very good day.
So then I remember I finished work at it was 7:30. It's the earliest I'd finished in 2 weeks or something. So then I'm I'm going to a movie, because I was depressed also.
Yeah.
So then I remember I just went to watch Black Panther for the 3rd time.
Yeah.
I just sat in the cinema and watched it, and it kind of helped, because
Yeah.
it took my mind off the
yeah,
depressive
how you're
episode.
feeling, yeah.
Yeah. So then all of this was going on. Sub results came back, failed the sub. Then I'm like, oh shit, I'm already working.
Yeah.
What the hell is gonna happen,
Yeah.
right? And then so then that was an issue that I dealt with alone. Told no one. Parents didn't know. Parents didn't even know I was writing a sub in the first place.
I'm so sorry that we didn't notice, hey?
No, you don't need to feel sorry, right?
No, I am sorry.
But you
Because
don't
as
need
your
to.
friends,
And you
that
said
you
this.
should have noticed.
No, right?
Yeah.
But okay, look. The thing about when you're depressed, you want everyone to notice, because you
Yes.
you want the help. You just want to cry, and you want everyone, and you want someone to say, no, it's okay, dude.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, I remember the day before graduation, or it was supposed to be graduation. I remember sitting on that rooftop, and actually, what happened is even a week before that, I think, because I decided okay, dude, yeah, I'm gonna kill myself, right? So what I did was, because up until that point I'd been very consistent in gym, very consistent with my meditation, right? So then, because I knew myself, I stopped going to gym, stopped meditating, because I was trying to make the suicide easier. So I was trying to put my body in, I was trying to disrupt my body.
Yeah. That
Right.
makes sense.
So everything I knew that would stop me being depressed,
Yeah.
didn't do it. Everything I knew that would assist me being depressed,
Yeah,
continued with that,
continued
to
to
make
do
just
that.
to make the suicide easier.
Yeah.
And then yeah. Long story short, the day before graduation, I was on a roof. The point is, during that week, I was driving around Joburg, literally trying to find a rooftop, because even before that, I'd done my research on what are the most effective suicide methods, because in the past I had tried, this is back in varsity even, I had tried asphyxiation. So that's when you choke yourself.
Yeah.
You tie up. Oops.
Sorry. You
So
tie up your...
you tie up your on yourself on a belt or something,
Yeah.
on a hanger,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
What else? I think that was that because I couldn't find there's no over the counter pills that you can just easily find that would help
Yeah,
you
that would help you, yeah.
kill yourself, right? So I'd known, I had been doing these things, looking for the most effective way for a very long time, and all of these other methods weren't working for me. So I'm like, okay, dude, you're gonna jump this time, right? Because also I decided, because I think with asphyxiation, I think what stopped, I stopped myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, choose a method where you can't stop yourself.
Yeah.
You know. So drove around Joburg for a bit. The interesting thing about Joburg is that there's no easily just accessible rooftops.
Yeah.
And that's something I found out during that period.
Thank you,
And-
government.
Thank you, government.
Thank you to the government.
So then, so then bought myself a bottle of Jack Daniels, went to the rooftop at Rosebank. So then part of the research said that the best way is that you need to find
There's actual research on this.
Dude, I was serious about this thing, because I'm saying, I'd literally had been looking to this thing since high school.
Okay,
you know.
makes sense.
So then one of the things said that if you, obviously all of the sites you go to will always say, please, if you need help, don't kill yourself. But if you do want to, for academic purposes, here's all the answers.
Wow.
So like that's also where they'll tell you like don't even try sleeping pills. Sleeping pills, they've intentionally reduced the thing so that you won't die if you take all your
if you
sleeping
take
pills
them,
or whatever like that. So then they said you should go for a minimum of six floors, which was actually really difficult. Thank you, government.
Yeah.
To find that. So
Yes.
then anyway, I'm like, look, dude, if you drink a lot, first of all, it's going to be easier to jump. Second of all, you might, if you survive the fall, your body might be so weak that you die there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even if the fall doesn't kill you, maybe the overconsumption. So I literally finished a bottle of Jack Daniels. I remember it was raining on that night. I was busy sitting on the roof, and then why were people trying to call me? People were trying to call me, trying to find me. I can't remember why. Then I remember I was just sitting there, and I actually texted Willie that I'm like, yo, dude, I'm about to jump. I don't know what to do. Then he came. And then the rest of the night is a bit of a blur.
Yeah.
Somehow my parents found out.
Yeah.
It wasn't Willie, I know.
Yeah.
I think I might have spoken to someone.
Yeah.
And then I remember as we were leaving Rose, so we left my car, obviously. And then he was going to get in an Uber, and then he was going to take me back to his place. And then as we're getting down onto the road, police came. Right?
Yeah.
Because they had, and my uncle was in the car, and my uncle jumps out because they had been looking for me, right?
Yeah.
Then my uncle jumps out, and then the police grab Willie.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe they thought he was kidnapping me or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, he's my friend, leave him alone. And then, they left him, and then they took me to the police station, and then from there, an ambulance came and took me to a hospital.
Yeah.
Where they admitted me.
Yeah.
The hospital was horrible. I literally felt like I was crazy in that place because you can't do anything here. And I had no clothes, so I was only wearing that
robe.
that robe, right?
Yeah.
And my ass was showing up. And I'm like, I really don't like this. I need clothes.
Yeah.
And then lots of things have happened during that time. Literally just like summarizing everything. And then I was at the Rand Hospital there. I hated it. And then I hated it because I feel like the people there are crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it actually kind of scared me.
Yeah.
You know? So then I kind of had to beg my psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And then he said, okay, we'll let you go to Akeso, right? But you have to, but the thing about Akeso is that you can just leave if you want to.
Okay.
So but you have to promise us you're not going to leave.
Yeah.
Because you can leave. Actually, once you send you there, it's up to you. You can
Yeah,
leave.
you can
So I probably stayed at the Rand Hospital for probably like 2 nights. And then they sent me to Akeso, and I probably stayed there for maybe like 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
And then I left.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's when I'm kind of like grateful for that because because I'd always wanted help.
Yeah.
You know, because I remember even the year before, I was really, really depressed, having really bad episodes, even getting migraines. Sometimes it felt like to the point I could barely talk.
Yeah.
You know, and then my parents, I just said, no, I'm sick. I've got headaches.
Yeah.
And then when I tell them that, I'm hoping that they notice something's wrong.
Yeah.
And then I went to the doctor, and then I kept on trying to allude to like everything else, like connect the dots, my nigga.
Yeah.
I really need help.
Yeah.
And he didn't, you know. So I was kind of grateful for that whole thing because now I'm like, okay, all my cards are out on the table.
Yeah.
Everyone knows I suffer from this thing.
Yeah.
I really need help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know how to ask this question, but why do you think there's so much like stigma that still surrounds depression and anxiety?
People don't want to be weak. I don't want to be weak. That's for me why I also didn't want to tell anyone.
Yeah.
Because also, first of all, another thing is that as a kid I had epilepsy, right?
Yeah.
And then the thing about epilepsy is that it also increases your the probability of you having clinical depression. Right?
Yeah.
Because what epilepsy does is
didn't
that,
know that.
epilepsy is like your brain waves are shooting off at the wrong times. So that's why you end up having seizures. And then depression is where the chemicals in your brain are not at the right place. So you feel depressed, you feel sad, you feel all of those sort of things. So first of all, with epilepsy, I didn't tell anyone. Well, obviously my family knew because I went for treatment and all that. But I didn't tell anyone outside my family because, I mean, as a kid, my baby wants to be on the thing now.
Clearly.
So then as a kid, I realized, so at first I had interesting thing, I had my first real epileptic attack around like when I was like 12. So also if you notice, I really first started having depression around 12, 13. So you can see the link there. And then I remember when I first started having epilepsy, and I would tell my people at school, kids, everyone would make fun of me.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm like, I'm not telling a single fucking soul after this.
Yeah.
I can swear, right?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
It's not PG-13.
Okay, cool. So then like on epilepsy, I realized like I don't want to be made fun of, because people treat you funny. People just treat you differently, and you're like, I'm the same person you saw yesterday.
Yeah.
Why are you treating me differently? My parents would treat me differently because they're worried about me, sure. But then just people just generally would treat me differently, right?
Yeah.
And then that's also the thing with depression, right? Like you don't want anyone to treat you differently. You don't want people to treat you like you're weak.
Yeah.
You know, and also for me, because like, you know, leader, they're adverts, you know, there's this thing that a leader needs to be strong.
Yeah.
If you're weak in leadership, politics, or any of the things we do, it's a serious character flaw.
Yeah.
So I didn't want anyone to ever know I'm weak, and I didn't want to seem weak. And I think that's why men struggle with speaking about it generally, because we don't want to be weak.
Come across weak. Yeah.
I think it's just.
But I mean, you're not weak.
It's difficult to accept and understand that.
Yeah.
I partly still struggle with that, saying that I'm not weak, but I also think that's also with me speaking about it more, and also me saying, look, I'll still kick your ass if you know, something like that, and I can still withstand. Like sometimes I just look at the stuff that I've been able to withstand just purely on a mental level.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, can't be weak if you've done all of that.
Yeah.
But then the depression makes you feel worthless.
Yeah,
you know?
it does.
Then you feel weak and you just want to die.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't want to, because also people don't know what to do when you tell them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you don't want to make it someone else's problem.
Yeah.
You're like, because I remember having a discussion with some friends. This is soon after I got out of hospital. I'm like, come across weak.
Yeah.
You don't want people to treat you differently.
Yeah.
And also people don't know how to act to it. So rather just keep it to yourself, generally.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
How do you... Okay, but now, how would you advise someone who is depressed? Because maybe they feel that way. They feel like they should keep it to themselves, but it's not necessarily the best thing to do.
Look, to be honest, that's a difficult one. Look, so on my podcast, right? My podcast, The Anim, you guys can check it out.
Yes.
I
will put the link below. You'll send me the link.
Wait, I'll send it to you.
Okay, sure.
On my podcast, The Anim, what I did was I would just speak about depression, how I'm feeling, all of those sorts of things. Like I'm saying that for me, that was a form of therapy. Just talking helps.
Yeah.
You know? But look, I would recommend that if someone is... Also, another reason I would always speak about these things and tell people that I struggle with depression is that I know how difficult it is to find people that understand, right?
Yeah.
So I'm also availing myself for anyone that wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? So honestly, talking is the best thing, particularly to a professional.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to talk to about a friend, because sometimes you're like, this professional doesn't know me.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I met you a day ago. What are you gonna tell me?
Yeah, that's
you know?
true. Yeah.
Whereas a friend, you're like, okay, dude, we've experienced quite a bit together, so you might have a better understanding of this and of me. I would recommend you talk. It's honestly, it's difficult to say what someone else should do. Like, do your research on it. Do your research on methods to deal with it. Like I did meditation. I will always be a big advocate of meditation. There's an app actually that I think gave me the best consistency when it came to meditation. It's an app called Headspace. Only issue with Headspace, it's a bit pricey in terms of, so you've got like a 10-day free trial, well, 10 meditation free trial, and then you have to pay a monthly fee, and it is a bit it's like 250, 300, but compared to us not paying anything at all, you know,
that is a little bit pricey.
you see what I'm saying? So, but like you don't need to do that. You can find other ways of meditation.
Sure.
Meditation, exercise is so important. Getting outdoors is very important. I like your place here. It's very bright. You know, stuff like that are very like
intentionally so.
like it's very like when you're depressed. Even when let's say I'm still spending the whole day indoors, I'm gonna open all the curtains.
Yeah.
Because I know that if I keep it dark in the room, it's not gonna help.
Yeah. Okay. What questions would you like to ask, if any?
Would I like to ask you? How?
Wait, before you ask them, I do really want to apologize because I feel like we've never had this conversation.
Because I didn't want to.
I know you didn't.
So I wasn't going to have it. That's another thing. Whenever you're not the first friend to say, "Nkuli, I'm so sorry. My thing is I intentionally hid it." And if you asked me,
I did ask you,
and I wasn't going to tell you,
and you didn't tell me, and I understand.
Yeah. So, also I think another thing is that there's also a difference between depression and feeling suicidal. Right?
Yeah.
So, I get depressed a lot, right? But I'm not always suicidal.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think also that's another distinction. People think just because you're depressed, you want to kill yourself.
Yeah, and I think people assume like depression is suicide, and it's not that.
Yes, although they highly linked. 8 times out of 10.
They're very linked, but it's
not
not
always,
the same
not
thing.
Always.
Yeah. And then lastly, what's the difference between anxiety and depression, would you say?
I'm not a doctor, however.
Yes, of course.
However, I think anxiety is, wow. How do you, look, I think depression is that lack of energy. It's that intense sadness for a prolonged period
of time, yeah.
It's like having a negative outlook, like you think nothing is ever going to improve. Anxiety, see, the way I always felt anxiety was paranoia. Like I'm saying, I always mischaracterized my anxiety as paranoia.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow.
And it's the worst combination.
Yeah, it's actually difficult for me to just Google it, guys. Google anxiety.
Yeah.
That's the only real thing I can say about anxiety. Because also anxiety, I know a lot about depression, but because like I'm saying, like I'm 25 now.
Yeah.
I've been researching on it since I was like 13.
Yeah.
You know, whereas anxiety, I only really started, not even like, I've only started accepting that I also have anxiety since like last year.
Yeah.
Before I thought, because it's also like, you know, the fear of public speaking. You know that fear when you're saying a speech and you're afraid to speak in front of people.
Yeah.
That's kind of anxiety, but like all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
literally.
that's yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Yes.
You'd like to ask?
How do you? Because I didn't know you also get depressed, right? Oh, also another thing is that also I noticed that many people get depressed, but then it's just about like how long and how often it happens, you know,
Sure.
and also the causes of it.
That makes sense.
So how have you experienced depression?
I think probably the first time depression hit me was probably in my 3rd year, when we were all serving in ARC. But I'm like the worst kind of depression person because I'm like a functioning depressioner. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Because when you're depressed, it's difficult to function.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're functional.
I'm like the I can look like I have it together depression person who knows.
And also you're very like jovial all the time.
Yes, yeah. I come across very like happy all the time. So I'm like the worst kind in that you literally would never notice. So like if I say I'm depressed, like you'll never take me seriously because in your head you're like, this person, you know. But mine hit me hit me in 3rd year. I experienced something like traumatic, which I prefer not to talk about.
Okay.
And then like literally waking up was an issue. I would like, even eating was an issue. Like, but then when I decided to eat, like I would overeat, like to gain like a huge amount of weight, which was also linked to like the whole incident, because I just didn't want to be desirable, if that makes sense.
I understand.
Yeah. So then it was, and I was like I would go to meetings and I would like contribute, do everything. But like the process of going to that meeting was so difficult. Like, which is why I showed up late, which is why I like, you know, like, I don't know, it was everything was work. It was the first year where I didn't like do like super well academically, like, and I've always been able to balance everything. But it was just like, I don't know how to explain it. I was always in the dark. I didn't want to get out. I didn't want to talk to anyone.
And was it difficult because like you stayed at Reyes?
Yes.
So then was it difficult? And then you were the chairperson.
And I was the chairperson, and people would knock on my door, and sometimes I would be there. And because now I also have anxiety, in my head I'm thinking, shit, these people know I'm in here.
Yes.
And it's like I'm getting so paranoid, and I'm like, what are they gonna think of me? I'm the worst person ever. But honestly, I couldn't open that door. Like I just couldn't. Like it was too much. I was constant. I would cry every single day. Like there was not a day that I didn't cry. And at the time I had a boyfriend, and like over the weekend I would see him, and he would not even notice that like anything was
really, even he didn't notice.
He didn't know. And like I think that's the worst part, because I've always, I don't know, because like the result comes out, people always think like, oh my God, like, and the thing is with me, I function best when I hate myself or I'm like really upset at something. When there's pain, that's where I function, which is bad.
Which it's also bad of you to think like that.
What do you mean?
To think that you if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're saying now, you're most effective when you are in pain and when you're depressed. And I think that's also a dangerous narrative that you shouldn't tell yourself, right? Because that's the same thing as when artists say, you know the whole thing of a tortured artist.
Yes, yeah.
I need to be an alcoholic, a drug addict, and that's where I create my best art.
Yeah.
Whereas it's just a coping mechanism for something that you're going through, but it's not necessarily where the good art comes from.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think for you, that's why I would say just be careful of that narrative you tell yourself.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
And I am now subsequently changing that, in that I'm choosing to operate from a good place. But I'm saying at the time, all I'd known was how to operate in pain.
Okay.
So then no one knew, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then. And now I want to say, how did you get out of that? I'm assuming you got out of that.
Not even, hey. Like I'm constantly facing depression. Like I've had so many instances, like there was even a night at Wits where I walked to the bridge and I was like ready to jam.
And you think, even if I hit that ground and I don't die, there's cars coming.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like you think about it all. Like I've thought about it. I'm like, okay, if I time it right, like there's times when I would be on my way to work, I'm like, if I time it right at this intersection, I could just go, and then the cars would just like hit me, and then things like that, and it would look like an accident.
Yes.
You know, no one would know, because my thing was always like, I always knew like my gran, like it would hurt her the most. So I've always tried to find ways that seem like, you know, like a mistake, so that would be me. Like I knew, okay, if I cut myself, that's obvious. Like, you know, so like, and I've always been obsessed with accidents. And it's so weird because I've constantly told people, I'm like, I'm going to die in an accident. But I think what people don't know is it will be intentional. But because I've said it so many times, it's going to come across like, oh, yeah, but she always knew, like, you know, but they didn't know that I was saying I will kill myself and make it look like an accident.
I think that's also a very big deterrent a lot of the time, because you don't want, like, as much as you're going through the pain, you don't want to. You want to
put someone else
that pain to everyone else.
Yes.
I think for me, I just gave up looking for an accidental way. Honestly, I'm like, there's no way I can make this thing look like an accident.
Innovative ways. It's just, somehow, weirdly enough, something has always like stopped me at that exact time. Like, I don't know, it's like my gran will always call at that exact time, or like my best friend. It's so weird. Like, literally.
Yeah. So then, like, do you not think that for your because you seem like you've got accidental ways that are pretty effective? You can tell me them off camera. Don't worry.
I will not be doing those. Yeah.
But like for me, I think that the car thing is also a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Like you'll be like, because also my car's pretty quick.
Yeah.
So then I look at it, I'm like, if I get a good head start and I go
just
straight
need a
into that
space.
wall,
Yeah.
that should work.
Yeah. There's no way I'm surviving that. Yeah.
But then sometimes, but don't you ever think like people have walked away from worse car accidents? Do you not also sometimes think like, what if I just end up paralyzed?
I have thought about that, but then that's why I always think of the most effective one. Like one where I'm like, there's no way you can survive this. Like I've looked at ones and I'm like, this will just be an accident. Like, what are the chances of me dying here? But like, I'm like, my mind has always been like, this one, it's final. Yeah.
So then, are you getting help?
The weird thing is I got help in that I didn't ask for. So it's like I went to my doctor and then I told him like all these symptoms that I was having, and then my doctor put me on like anti-anxiety and anti-depression pills. But the thing is, he didn't tell me that he was doing that. So suddenly I felt better. And I didn't know. I was like, what is this medication that's making me feel better? So here I am Googling away, yay, what is this? Because that's me. I'm like, I know this thing, I must get it because it's the one, And then only to find that it's like anti-anxiety, anti-depression pills. And then I'm like, but why didn't he tell me? So like, I moved away from that doctor. And then after that, it was always like I would get like severely sick, and when I go there, like no one can explain it. So it's like I'm like really sick, like I can't taste food, I have severe headaches, I have all these other things, but it's not caused by something. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like they're trying to find a reason, but the reason is depression. So like I remember I kept switching doctors. Like every time my doctor would find out, like, your time is up. And then it's like, that's I remember one doctor asked me, like, I think you're depressed. I said, I was like, this doctor does not know that it is the last time I'm coming here. Mainly just because like I just want to solve it myself. I think for me, probably one of my worst episodes was like after working. And then, third year was really bad. But also after working, like I had 10 days to like study for board exams. Let me tell you.
You were chilling.
I was chilling. Like picking up a book, Nkuli, it was impossible.
I understand.
Trust
me, I understand.
And people think you can control it. Like, and like having to explain to my friends like afterwards, because they were like, we didn't see you in board exams. And now I'm lying to everyone. I'm just like, I know, I was there. It's just that you guys didn't see me. But in my head, it's like picking up a pen, even reading a sentence was like, I don't know.
It's like that paralyzing effect of the whole thing.
Exactly.
But then, So have you looked for like coping mechanisms?
Yeah, I think I think it also like
actually. And then sorry, before that, why do you run away from the doctors?
Because I don't like feeling weak. I don't like feeling like, so for me, I've grown up in a very like woman-dominated family, and all the women in my family are very strong. Like they faced the most horrendous things, like, and they all like come out like tops. Okay.
That's another thing you have to be very careful of. Don't compare yourself.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But for me, I know that's the right thing, but in my head, it's like,
it's the difficult thing.
Yes. Why am I the weak one when like all these women are like having it together? They like heading up their families without men. They doing this, they doing that. Like, why would I be the one who's suddenly like now like falling apart? So then I've always like been like, no, I need to have it together. So it's like when it's like a doctor is seeing me. So now it's also that anxiety, like, oh, this person thinks I'm weak. So then I'm like, peace, then I'm out. But my sort of way of coping, which I found for myself, I don't know. I think I just immerse myself in it. But also, what I've now found is that, like, I realized that a lot of it was coming out of things that I haven't dealt with. So things that I, like, just brushed over. Like, my mom died when I was very young. And, like, I just went into action mode. Like, and that's how I am. Like, if something bad happens, Tando's in action mode. And everyone will be like, why aren't you sad? Like, this should be killing you. But I'm just like, oh, okay, let's go. And because I haven't dealt with all of those things, it was starting to, like, affect me. So what I've now done is I've just gone on a personal journey where I literally, like, break myself down and I, like, deal with one thing at a time. I will get angry. I will immerse myself in it. I will cry. I will deal with it. I will talk to myself. This house has seen me talk a lot. That's why I also say, like, it's bright for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, the other one I lived in was darker and made it worse. This one is lighter and, like, yeah, open a lot of curtains during the day, you know. Yeah.
Okay. So, but you do realize, right?
Pep talk.
Like I was not even like
I know.
you do realize that at a certain point your own coping mechanisms will not be enough, right? And you need to actually, like, see a professional is what I'm encouraging, right? Like I'm saying, without me reaching that, like, rock bottom, you know, of when, like, literally I was put into that ambulance and they're like, Chief, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, literally that's the only way I was able to,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, and as much as, so right now I'm still on my pills, right?
Yeah.
And as much as I'm not doing therapy anymore,
Yeah.
there was an element of therapy that helped.
Yeah.
For example, there's that element of therapy that now I understand, oh, anxiety is a thing that I
Yeah.
also struggle with a bit. And that when I'm depressed, I'll probably be more anxious.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So like, you do realize, and, like, now I'm gonna have to keep you accountable. Like, you're gonna need to do, like, work outside of that.
I was joking.
LOL.
Yeah.
LOL. Fooled us. No, but like, but like, do you get that though?
I do. You know what my thing is, right? Every instance of therapy that I've tried, just it just hasn't been for me. I don't know. Maybe like, I just really, because I tried it once. Like, there was a time when I literally just fell apart. Like, someone asked me, like, someone looked at me and they said, "How are you?"
And you start crying.
I broke down literally, like, in the middle of nowhere. Like, I cried like I was going crazy. So then people were just like, I go there. What's that Vit's place?
CCDU.
CCDU.
I was always too scared to go to CCDU.
They sent me there. Yeah, for your political reasons.
Not for my political reasons. I was just afraid of that place, man. Wow.
It carried a lot of stigma. I will give
Yes,
you
it did.
that.
It did carry a lot of
it
stigma.
did. Like, walking in there, people. It seemed like, you know. But I've come to realize that, like, people don't have it together, and you can look like you have it together. Like, people are always like, "No, Tando, you have it together," and I'm just like, guys,
If only you knew.
if only you knew. And that's the other thing, people don't take you seriously. Like, you will literally say, like, "Yo, hey, if only you knew," and then people will just be like, "Ah, you're strong, you'll get through it."
Yeah,
and it's like,
it's not.
no,
I
you
think-
don't know.
I think it's also important to speak about these things. Like, do you know Busi? Mkumbuzi?
Yes, yeah.
Married to Tammy, right?
Yeah.
So then they were on radio a few weeks ago talking about being a couple and all that. And she said, so she struggles with being suicidal,
Yeah.
right? A lot. And then I didn't know that. I've known her for quite a bit now. I never knew that, right?
Yeah.
But the mere fact that she said that made me feel better.
Yeah.
You know, because the worst thing is that, like, also sometimes it's like successful people can't
I was about to
be
say.
depressed or
Yes.
suicidal.
Yeah.
And even though you know, I know of successful people that are, but like when you know someone that close,
Yeah.
that you've seen the success, you've seen the grind, you see
Yeah.
how well they're doing, and they still say, look, I'm suicidal also.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the thing. And I think that's also maybe the value of your platform.
Yeah.
Like for a very long time, my podcast was where I vented.
Yeah.
Right, and it's where I let it all out. It's
Yeah.
where I would just speak about depression and anxiety. Sometimes, actually, when I was speaking about those things, I was actually just asking for help,
Yes.
but I was still doing it either way, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think maybe that's the beauty of the platform that you've created, is that you've created a platform for yourself to speak about these things, destigmatize these things,
Yeah.
and then also let people know that, look, guys, this is a thing that happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're weak. I feel weak in this moment, but
Yes.
I don't but I don't think if you came to me,
Yeah.
I would see you as weak.
As weak, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it must be that you're not weak.
Yeah.
You know. So
Yeah.
I think this is a very dope platform, and I think you should continue these discussions on this platform.
Thank you.
Even if you don't have a guest,
Yeah.
maybe just talking to us, letting us know where you're at in that particular moment, because I think it's also very interesting to hear, like, the content you'll create when you're going through the episode
Yeah.
is very different to a reflective episode saying,
That's
okay,
true.
this is how I felt.
That's true.
So I think when you're going through those, as much as you should still seek therapy and seek help, I think it's important that you also
Talk.
allow that rawness
Yes.
to come out,
That makes sense.
because that's your
For people to
authenticity.
see, yeah. you
Because
had-
because there are people that look up to you, right? Dan, you've got your first years, especially when you were a chairperson,
Sure.
looked up to you for sure. I know many of my first years
Yeah,
that I
who
would
looked
look up to you. No, look up to you.
Oh, thanks.
Like MK and them, you
Oh,
know,
thanks.
like they look up to you. They respect you very much. Many people respect you, right? So I think,
Right back at you.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, well.
Don't have to tell me twice.
Yes.
So I think it's very important that you allow those people to also get a perspective. They might be going through these things, or they might see someone going through this,
Yeah.
and they need to know, okay, this person's not weak.
Yeah.
If one of the strongest people I know is going through this
Yeah.
person can't be weak.
Can't be weak,
Let me
yeah.
find out more.
That's true.
So I think that would be a very important thing from your platform, and I
Thank you.
wanna hear a lot more of these things coming from you.
Okay. No, I will definitely try. But no, I agree with you. And I think I've come to realize that a lot of people who like are high performing people put a lot of pressure on themselves, and they suffer from
It's the pressure
depression.
also, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I've also come to realize, and that's why I say I don't look at people like that, like, you know. And I think for me, let me tell you, I think for me, my biggest thing was, you know, after my mom died, like everyone changed the way they looked at me. It was like everyone started looking at me with pity. And I've never wanted to
Pity.
see that look again in someone's eyes.
I understand that.
I've never wanted to see someone be like, oh, you little fragile, you know, like thing, you know, like I think
Yeah.
if I can find someone or a therapist or someone or a doctor or whatever who will look at me like, oh, you're depressed. Okay, let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
So you don't feel like your doctors looked at you like that? You felt like your doctors also gave you pity?
I feel like it's like you know, like it's literally like a thing of let's talk about that's horrible and
I'll give you the number from my psychiatrist is a bit of an asshole. I actually feel like
I love those.
I just go for the prescriptions right now, because that guy is just like, he's like the annoying thing about him, because I think we are wrapping up generally.
Yes.
But the annoying thing about my psychiatrist, which I had to realize, okay, I actually need a psychologist.
Yeah.
is when like you'll be there, he's like, okay, so how are you feeling? And I'll be telling him like, okay. Is it? Oh, okay. I'm like, Chief, you asked me how I am. Why are you on your phone?
Why are you on your phone?
And it wasn't on his phone. He was on his iPad, because he's actually very busy. He's like, because he has a lot of clients.
Yeah.
Like even when sometimes you'll be in the sessions with him, and then he'll get a call, and he'll be like, I'm so sorry, I have to actually take this, because he answers the calls from his clients at any time.
Okay, wow.
So the thing about him is that he doesn't pity you. Okay, let me just give him a shout out. Dr. Chiman from Akeso. He's very good, very busy, but he's good at what he does. And you should check him out, because he doesn't give you that pity. And I think maybe that's also what made my therapy journey a bit easier, and why it's easy for me to encourage it.
Yeah.
Is that at no point did I ever feel like these people were pitying me.
Okay, that's
like
great.
it's like they were just like, oh, okay, aware. So that's the issue. Okay. So what does that? How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Oh. So it was really just like conversation.
Oh,
you know?
I love people like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll definitely give you the details.
Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, that's yeah.
Okay, and we'll put the details below.
Go to Akeso. The nice thing about Akeso is also that you can call them. Like the one I went to was the one in Parktown, right?
Yeah.
So for my psychologist, I'm like, because the first psychologist I didn't really like her, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like she didn't understand the urgency of shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I need to see you or something, and then she'd want to reschedule. I'm like, Chief, this is urgent, nigga.
This is like I'm about to die.
They might not be here tomorrow. So I changed her because I didn't like her. Then I called Akeso, and then I'm like, hi guys, I need a new psychologist. I didn't really like the last one.
Yeah.
I preferably like someone young.
Yeah.
Preferably like someone black.
Yeah.
And like, okay, cool, sure. And they hooked her up. So that's the nice thing. You can kind of
make
because I prefer a black psychologist.
Yeah.
So Dr. Chiman is Indian.
Yeah.
But dope guy.
Yeah.
Right? And then I felt like I wanted a psychologist that could kind of relate to the general black experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all have very different experiences, but I want someone that, and I also wanted someone young,
Yeah.
so that it was,
gauge.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So that's a nice thing about Akeso. Shout out to Akeso. Okay. And also, actually, the other thing, just before I ended my therapy sessions with her, because I was like, okay, because I didn't want to tell her also that your shit is getting expensive.
Yeah.
But then even her, she was like, are you sure it's not finances? Because we can come to some sort of arrangement and then to make it more affordable for you. But then also my pride at that point. And also I was I was annoyed that I felt like it wasn't doing enough.
Yes, that makes sense.
So she's like, we can even come to some sort of arrangement so you pay a little bit less than what you currently pay. So I think that's also the beauty of
Akeso.
Of Akeso.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put the details of Akeso below. And what's Headspace?
My podcast.
Your podcast will be number one.
Then
it will be Akeso. Then it will be Headspace.
Yeah, those are the ones.
None of them are sponsoring this video. But it's okay. And I think this conversation was very necessary. And I think also just the important thing that I think people can take away as well is it's so interesting how so many people around you and how you guys can all like be, in sort of like one space, but not know that like each one of you is like going through this thing, So yeah, I think let's talk about it more. Let's destigmatize it. And if you have any questions, comments, please put them below and don't forget to subscribe, share the video with your friends. And yeah, until next time, enjoy. Okay, thank you.
And I brought the baby for the last few lines. Hey, with the baby.
Say hi.
With the baby.
I'm And now I'll read a poem I wrote called The Familiar Possessor. She calls out to me, whispering sweet comforts, offering a place to rest. So fatigued I fall into her arms. Falling, that's what it is. Because her arms are bottomless. I sink deeper and deeper into them. And as I do, all color fades. I am in darkness. I am in the sunken place. But she keeps singing me lullabies, making me believe that she is all I need. So I forget about all of you. It's just me and her. Nobody loves you, she says. You're not enough, she says. Look at how fat you are, she says. Look at how you fail, she says. But I will accept you as mediocre as you are. And so I stay. I sleep in her arms. Until I see a ray of light peek through because love is reaching out for me. But she won't let me go. So I climb, I fight, I bite her, I close my ears until I can feel the light, until I can see it, until my body is awake to it. I climb out of her grip. She hisses, but I will not let her envelop me. I bask in the sun, feeling its goodness, remembering even for a second that I am enough. And so there I stay as happiness holds my hand and invites me to its home, to share dinner with it so that it may one day no longer be a stranger. And so I accept. But she is always underneath the surface, never too far, always waiting. Her name is Depression, but I call her the Familiar Possessor. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks.